All right, I don't know if Ben and Jerry's still does this, but every year they used to do a free scoop day. And while I was in school in Baltimore, I remember I would go down to the Inner Harbor with friends. There was a Ben and Jerry's right there on the waterfront. And on free scoop day, we'd wait in that line. I mean, sometimes 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is, for a free scoop of ice cream. And at some point, I stopped doing it. Again, not because I didn't want the ice cream, but because I did the math in my head. Like for 30, 45 to an hour of my time for something that was maybe worth $5. And that math stuck with me. And years later, I realized that I was still standing in a lot of lines, just different ones. Like I was my inbox, my calendar, my travel bookings, like research that I could hand off in 10 minutes, but was spending like 90 minutes doing myself. If you've been putting off hiring a VA because you don't know where to start, I mean, this episode is the starting point. We're not going to talk about the philosophy and everything behind it. We're just going to talk about 5 tasks right now that someone else can handle and why each one matters. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Passive Income MD podcast, where we talk about creating your ideal life through multiple streams of income. If you enjoy hearing about this stuff, make sure to hit subscribe. Now let's get on with the show.
Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you've had another great, amazing week. I'm Peter Kim, and today we're keeping it practical. Now, if you've been around here for a while, you know I talk a lot about leverage. It's one of my favorite words, where small inputs can create bigger effect or bigger outcomes. And a virtual assistant is probably the most underused form of leverage I see among physicians. I mean, I said it at PIMD Con at a conference, and I'll say it here. Not having a VA is like standing in line for an hour for a free $5 ice cream cone. And I know that from personal experience. Like I literally used to do that. The resistance I hear most often from doctors is not about money. Again, you can find one now overseas for $7 to $10 an hour. And so that's not the barrier. The real barrier is the activation stage, the setup. And physicians look at the task of training someone and think, oh, it'll just take more time to train them than it saves. So it's just easier to do it myself. I don't know if you've ever said that yourself, but in the short term, that's probably true. But in the medium term, and especially the long term, it's completely wrong. So today, I want to make this concrete. I'll just give you 5 tasks, where to start, what a good handoff actually looks like, and how to make this happen. Okay, first task, this is an easy one, your email, your inbox. Now, this is the highest leverage starting point for most physicians I know, especially if you have investments or a business. Think about how much time you spend in your inbox, not just reading, but triaging, like deciding what needs a response, what can wait, what can be deleted. And for a lot of people, depending on how much email you get, that can be like an hour or 2 a day. And most of it is work that doesn't necessarily require you specifically. You could have a VA do the first pass. They flag what needs you specifically. They draft responses using templates that you build together. They move things into folders so that when you open your inbox, you don't just see this whole list of unread emails. You're not just walking into a ton of noise. You know which ones you need to specifically address. And here's the mental shift that made this work for me. I wasn't giving up my inbox. I was stopping myself from being the first line of defense on things that didn't and don't require my judgment. Now, I'll be honest with you. The first couple weeks, it does cost you some time and energy. You have to train them on what matters, what your response style is, what categories exist, and that's real. But it does compound fast. And after about 30 days, I think the system can basically run on its own. It's totally worth it. Now, task 2, it's your calendar. Now, there's an invisible tax on scheduling that I don't think most of us talk about. And again, it's not just the time it takes to book a meeting. It's like the back and forth emails. When are you free? Does this time work? The double check on whether you have a conflict. This whole mental energy of holding multiple potential slots in your head while waiting for someone to confirm. I mean, a VA is awesome at taking care of all of that. They can coordinate meeting requests. They protect the things that matter in your life. My wife and I happen to have Tuesday lunches, and so that is blocked off in my calendar. Everyone on my team knows this. Tuesdays are mine for myself and my wife. My VA guards that, so nothing slips in unless I've explicitly approved it. Now, if you give your VA a clear set of rules, what they can book without asking, what requires your sign off, like what is protected and what's not, it just takes one conversation up front. You set up a policy around it, and then you stop thinking about it. This one tends to pay off in the first week. It makes things so easy.
Hey, if you've been listening to this podcast and you're feeling motivated, but maybe a little isolated, like the people around you just don't quite get what you're trying to build, I think you'd love PIMD Con. It's our annual conference, and honestly, the thing I hear most from people who come for the very first time is that it feels like a homecoming. 3 days, surrounded by hundreds of physicians, all moving in the same direction, learning about real estate, entrepreneurship, and what it actually looks like to build the life you want. PIMD Con 2026 is September 24th through 26th in Dallas. Early pricing won't last long, so if you're even a little curious, check it out now at pimdcon.com/tickets. We'd love to see you there.
Task 3, research. I think we all know this. As physicians building something outside of medicine, which many of you are, you have questions constantly. Like maybe you're looking at an operator, you're looking at a sponsor for an investment, and you want to know what's their track record. Like what is the best property manager in Phoenix? What's the going rate for a certain type of service? You could spend so much time going down a rabbit hole. And of course, again, with AI, you can spend so much time on that too. But you could also hand a brief to your VA and say, hey, these are my requests. Can you get a summary back to me in 24 hours? And they gather. They look through all the AI noise and confirm things are true, because there's a lot of hallucination out there. And then you get to evaluate what the right decision is. And that's the right division of labor. Your judgment is the most important thing. That's the asset. Your time spending, pulling information from Yelp and from Google or whatever it is not the important thing. Task 4, this is where it starts to get a little fun. This is travel and logistics. And this one is definitely expensive when it comes to your time. And most people don't even notice that. Like every trip has so many different layers. We're talking about flights, hotel, ground transportation. If you're signing up for a conference, right? Conference registrations, or if something else changes, like what to do. For a work trip or family vacation, I mean, that's easily 3 to 4 hours of logistical overhead on simple things. You could hand your VA a brief on this again. Dates, budget range, preferences, look up flights, get back 2 or 3 options. And you get to pick one, or they can pick one for you. Again, the time you save isn't just the booking time. It's this whole mental load of tracking all of those moving pieces across a week of back and forth. I make sure my VA has all the relevant information there, and they have a checklist to make sure I've booked everything. I don't know if you ever gone and booked some travel, but you forgot 1 or 2 details and it totally screwed things up. So last minute, you're booking something. A VA can help you through all of that stuff. And task 5, this might be specific to different people out there. It's about creating content and scheduling. Now, this one's relevant if you're building a platform, a side business, or maybe even just trying to build your brand or LinkedIn presence, as many physicians are today. Like you get to create and you make sure the posts are good, and they get to distribute. That's a great way to do it. They get to format things. They can schedule things. They can create captions and do editing on that. They can take content that you've already created and put it into shorter pieces. The creative thinking really is all about you. You're the special sauce, and that stays with you. But the repetitive stuff, you can move that to someone else. That's a clean division of labor, and it can save you so much time. And so here's what I want to close with. The resistance to hiring a VA is, again, almost never about money. It's about the setup, cost, and time. It's this whole belief that training someone will take more from you than it gives back. It's like the investment doesn't seem worth it. That you feel like it only works if you hand off everything at once. But I promise you, if you start with 5 concrete, repeatable tasks, whatever that is for you, and then you get in 30 days and you reassess and you fix and you adjust. This is what I found. Once you do this once, it changes how you start to think about your own time. You start seeing a new category, things that require you specifically and things that don't. And that distinction is worth more than almost any other investment you can make, especially if you're trying to control your time better. Now, I know one thing before you go, I should mention, you might be wondering if AI can just replace all of this. And honestly, we're getting close to it. But here's what I found works better right now. I train my VA to use AI. So she uses the tools. I review the output. And that combination, a human using AI leverage is more reliable and is better than just having one alone, is what I found. Like, you get a supercharged VA instead of an AI that occasionally goes off the rails, or one VA who is slow to doing things. Having both is so powerful. So this week, if you don't have a VA, consider having one. I think every physician should have one, to be honest with you. And if you do have a VA, make sure that you're putting them on tasks that are simple, repeatable, and can get done. Maybe these 5 will give you something to think about. You've probably been putting it off for long enough. I'm Peter Kim. Thanks so much for listening. Have another amazing week, and let's talk again soon.
Enjoy the show? Let me know by dropping a review in the podcast app you're listening to us in. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe. Join thousands of physicians who are also on this journey to creating their ideal lives through multiple streams of income. Learn more at our website, passiveincomemd.com. Thanks again for allowing me to be a part of your journey. See you next time.